my introduction. I am Prakhar Srivastava. I have done my BTech from IIT Guwahati. Since then, I am in this UPSC domain from like past 4-5 years. I'll be taking your science and tech and CSAT. Okay, let's start. General introduction we'll have only today. Science and technology. Okay, so there are two parts to it: science and technology. Wait. Not? Yeah, so two parts to it: science and technology. Now I'll be telling you how UPSC treats this subject and how it has changed over the years. Okay, so you see, if you would know, in 2013 what they did was they combined prelims of civil services and forest service. Please settle down. It's okay, it's okay. Yeah, so from 2013 when they combined Indian Forest Service and civil services prelims, they increased number of questions asked of science and tech and environment. Okay, so science and tech and environment questions increase drastically after 2030. From 2030, who put on the line? It's visible to everyone now. Can't see. But from where? From that angle, nobody can see. You can sit here. I don't ask any questions. You can sit here. Okay. Anyway, so science and technology. So it started, the questions of science and tech and environment became much more pronounced after this. So initially what they were giving were questions from physics, chemistry and biology. Very basic questions that are still prevailing in state exams. If you would have seen one-liner questions like mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. These kind of simple questions like any common name of NaCl is. So these questions used to come very simple, mostly focused on physics, chemistry and biology. Okay, this went on for a few years. Then from 2016 onwards, they extensively focused on this technology part. Okay, and now most of this technology part was current affairs based, and this is the era when something like TT365 became very famous. Okay, this is an institute's magazines. Similar magazines was released by all institute containing current affairs of past 1 year or 1.5 years. This became very popular source of preparing science and technology. Okay, this went on for a few years. You could read all the current affairs and you were good to go for this exam. Then in the last 4-5 years post 2020, what they are doing is they are asking questions from the intersection of both of these. Example, like this year there was a question that which of the following elements can act as a cathode in an electric battery. Now electric battery, if you see electric battery, it is always in news. Okay, so many schemes and developments in electric vehicles, electric batteries is there, so it will always be in current affairs. But the part that they asked was not just about electric batteries. If they wanted to ask a question only on current affairs, they would have asked about FAME scheme, what government is doing to develop electric batteries infrastructure. Okay, that kind of questions would have been asked. But what they asked, which of the following elements can be used as a cathode in an electric battery? So all this part is actually basic chemistry. So what they are doing, they are asking questions from the intersection of both. So you must be knowing electric batteries, how they work, and also what are cathodes, how electrolysis works. Okay, which is part of chemistry. Similar questions were there from a mix of biology as well as the biotech portion of current affairs. Okay, so they ask questions somewhere in the intersection. Okay, that's why overtly relying on the static books that you get of physics, chemistry, biology, basic one-liners or concepts, that is not a good strategy, as well as overtly relying on current affairs by magazines or just newspaper notes that you also make. That is also not very reliable. We need something at the intersection of both of these. So that's why when we will conduct these lectures, what I'll do is this part, some of it we will read in 1-2 basic lectures, but most of it we will cover through while we are doing different technologies. So like when I'll cover nanotechnology, along with nanotechnology, the current affairs and whatever applications are there, I will also be telling you about the concepts of physics and chemistry, like the atomic structure, like how elements behave differently at nano or very small scale. Why does that happen? What are the principles because of which nanotechnology or nanomaterials appear or act differently? So in this way, we will connect it within this very chapter of nanotechnology, so that when the questions are from the intersection, you know the concept as well as the current affairs or application part. Then you will be able to solve the questions. Understood how the lectures will go on? Okay, now weightage. How many questions of science and tech come every year in prelims? Say. Anybody? Yes. So in prelims, there are 11 to 13 questions almost every year. Like this year in 2025, there were 13 questions. Okay. Also, the learning which you get in science and tech also helps you in some environment or agriculture questions as well. Once you develop that understanding of acids, what are acids, basic neutralization, all this can help you in other subjects as well. But 13 questions, 11 to 13 questions, let's say 12 questions you can expect from science and tech. Okay, in prelims. Now there are two parts to it. One is the good part, one is the bad part. So I'll tell you the good part first. Good part is that these 12 questions are clear difference makers. Why do I say that? Because these 12 questions would be from science and technology, and the kind of questions that they are asking now, which is at the intersection of technology and applications, current affairs, it is difficult to deal with for most people. So most people don't get very high marks or sometimes any marks out of this section. Okay, so if you get questions from this sections correct, it will be a clear difference maker. Because see, anybody who is a serious aspirant or who you will be competing with really for those 10,000 positions that people who clear prelims, polity, economy, most of these people would be getting these topics correct. Okay, so making difference here is a bit difficult. Of course, you can make difference in the negative direction by doing silly mistakes in them, but otherwise creating competitive advantage against your competitors in these sections are a bit difficult. You can include even history in it, at least modern history. Because again, medieval and ancient history, people don't study well, and people who do study them well, they get good marks out of it. Okay. Then in science and tech, most people won't be getting very good marks. If you get a hold or knack of this topic, you will have a good difference maker for you. Okay. This will, if you want to give this exam, Indian Forest Service. Okay. Indian Forest Service is an equivalent post, like there is IAS, IPS, there is also Indian Forest Service. These are the people who become DFOs. DFOs are District Forest Officer. So these people head the forest region of any district. Okay, and in that forest region, they have all kinds of powers. Powers that an IAS have, also the powers that an IPS have in that forest region. So it's a very good job that is conducted via a separate means, but the prelims of civil services exams and IFOS is combined. That prelims paper, which you will be appearing on like some day on May 2026, it would be applicable for CSE and IFOS both. Of course, in this, the cutoff is usually 12 to 18 marks higher, because there are much lesser number of posts. So clearing cutoff for IFOS, if you have a dream or if you want to clear this cutoff also, then it is must that you are good at science and tech in environment. Even if you don't want to do this, yeah, then also learning science and tech can give you a good cushion, so that if you get one or two questions wrong in exam, or some question when you are giving exam, you will think I had read this and forgetting this, and then you will have to leave. So all that can be covered by being good at science and tech. Okay, it creates a cushion, because some people who leave certain subjects, like I have seen some humanities students, they leave science and tech. Leave. Why? Because they left it in 10th. Okay, and 9th, 10th also they didn't like it much, so they don't want to deal with this. Now the thing is, without this also you can get to prelims if you are very good at all other sections. But the problem in this strategy is what? You are just on the border always. Okay, so if you get 1-2 questions wrong, or if it is your bad day, you got 2-3 questions that you can't do, then you suddenly fall here and you are essentially wasting another year of use. So you should always have some kind of cushion. Okay, so if prelims cutoff is around 90 marks, this shouldn't be your aim. Okay, if it is 90 marks, please always aim to get 100 plus marks. 10 marks difference you should have. Why? Because coaching answer keys differ from UPSC answer keys, so that gets negated. Also, it gives you extra time before the results. After giving prelims, almost all people who are dangling in hope somewhere here, they try to study, but for the next 2 weeks they are hardly studying, because they are not sure if I'll be clearing prelims or not. If you are not in that category, if you are scoring well above cutoff in almost all coaching answer keys and everywhere, then you are mentally relieved. You can start means preparation from the next day, or if you want to go somewhere, you go 2-3 days OT and all, and then you can come back and start. But you can only go to OT when you are assured that you will be clearing prelims. Otherwise, you won't be able to do anything. Whole night, whole day, you will be thinking that question, maybe that this coaching was saying that, and you will also search. You will become a research analyst. Okay, and you will start searching that this particular questions. Some people start filing questions. Okay, so what they do, like one of my friends, what he did was, So he wanted to file a lot of questions that he wanted to prove that the marked answer that he marked was correct. Okay, so for that he made a lot of notes and all. Now the first question he uploaded that this should be the answer, these are my references, all this you can submit, and he submitted it. Okay, without knowing that a person with a particular roll number can only submit it once. So all your queries, whatever you have to submit first. You have to write all of them and then only submit. So now he submitted it. Okay, and now he has all those notes prepared for claiming all other questions. So he would call different people asking what you marked for question number 41. If he has marked the same as him, then only he'll file. Otherwise, if he says that I have marked B and that guy has marked C, so he said I won't file. Why would I file? I would get it wrong. So then he'll call next person. So this he would keep on doing, and eventually, like that year, he could not clear. So that way it becomes very difficult. So I would always suggest get a bit of cushion. It will really help you. You will be relaxed and you will start mains preparation whenever you want immediately. Okay. Okay. So that's why science and tech becomes very important. Now, the bad part. See, science and tech, 12 questions. Okay. Now I can come here and tell you that there are 12 questions. I teach very well, and hopefully just revise my notes, and you will be able to get 10 questions. So thank me, and I say bye bye, sayonara, and you all are happy. Because you all are happy, I'm happy. So our happiness goes on until around, see, for 364 days of a year, we both can be happy like this, except for the mild inconvenience on 24th or 25th of May. Okay, 364 days we both can be happy. So either I could do this, but of course I won't be doing this. So let me tell you the real thing. Okay, these 12 questions are there. They lie somewhere in the intersection. Getting questions directly each statement from the notes is very difficult. Hardly 3 to 4 questions on a good year you can expect that would come direct from notes. That if you have read notes, you can do these 3 to 4 questions. Other questions would require logical deduction. What is logical deduction? So you know some parts of it, and through that knowledge you try to eliminate certain options. Logical deduction may have two parts. One is elimination. This you can get from PYQs. I have analyzed PYQs enough. I'll tell you directly. Okay, so from PYQs you can get certain elimination techniques, or whatever you want to call it, tricks, whatever goes on in the market. So you can know them. This helps. And the second part is using limited knowledge to extrapolate. Okay, so you have a limited knowledge, you know this much, but in main exam, what you can do is you can expand over it. Okay, you can generalize it a bit and get to your answers. Okay, like if you only know about, let's say, if you only know that cow has 4-chambered heart. Okay, let's say you know only this much, that cow has 4-chambered heart. If in exam you see something about mammals and their heart having several compartments, in this, these are the compartment names. Okay, so then you can generalize, because cow is a mammal, maybe most mammals should be having a 4-chambered heart, and this seems like a probable name for those chambers. Even if you don't know, this much generalization you will have to do and mark it as correct. Based on your limited knowledge, you expanded it. Okay, we will talk about many tricks how you do this limited knowledge and expand it. Okay, we will do that in class. Okay, then if you do all this, getting 60% correct in this section is good. Getting 60% is good. If you are getting 80-90%, that's less probable. If you have done all the things properly, you have a background, you have a knack of getting to correct answers, then you can get 80-90%. But even if you are getting 60%, that's fine. You will be at a competitive advantage. Most people would not be getting more than 3-4 correct. Okay, they will get those correct. That one famous you would have heard, whenever application is asked, all of these is the answer. Okay, so these questions, they can be done correctly by all of them, but most people won't be doing that many correct. So if you study well, do notes as well as learn this logical deduction, you will get around 60%, and that's good. Okay, see, anyway, your entire paper of prelims, if you see, it is of 200 marks, and I am asking you to score 100, right? So 50% is what you need, but this 50% cannot be divided in each subject like 50 50 50 50 50. Okay, so if you are expecting that in polity I'll get 50%, okay, and in, let's say, current affairs and it's a environment also, you will get 50%, current affairs you will get 50%, it does not work like this. Okay, there are certain subjects which you have to get most correct, like polity and economy. I always say that if you are getting more than 90% correct, then you are in a very safe zone. People who have command over these two subjects, they get more than 90% correct in these subjects, are very less likely to fail prelims, because once you get this many marks from this section, other sections are manageable. Okay, so 60% in science and tech is very, very good. That much should be our aim. Now, so one thing was, what I'll be teaching you in class, you will be also getting slides, and whenever there is a current affairs classes also, we'll be having on Wednesday. So those all things would be covered. Also, we'll be doing a lot of MCQs in class itself. Okay. So what I have realized over the years is that students, after the exam, when I tell them this, that was in notes, you must have been able to deduce this, and get to the answer. They say, yes, sir, it works like this. Yeah, we understood. But we were not able to apply this in exam. So after studying all these for all that time, a teacher teaching you, you learning at home, still some students face difficulty in doing that in exam hall. Okay, so that's why we'll be taking a lot of MCQs. I'm also preparing MCQs for each chapter, and we will be solving it in class so that you learn this part very well. Okay, because with the dynamic pattern of UPSC that we are seeing, every time new kind of questions, new kind of things are asked. So logical deduction is something that we'll focus. Okay. One more issue is, actually, see, you will be solving many MCQs. Okay, most people give like 30-40 mocks, so they are solving a few thousand questions. That's not the issue. The issue is, see, I have seen the backside of this whole coaching industry as well. So the questions that are given in mocks of prelims are framed by people who are paid based on number of questions. So for per question, they get some remuneration. So the more number of questions they put out, more money they earn. Quality is not a parameter. Okay, so that's why anybody who's trying to earn in this harsh world would do what? Would churn out more and more questions. So now what happens? Usually they are on topic. The kind of topics that would be asked by UPSC, they are on topic. You can give them that. The problem is the framing of statements as well as the options are not very good. The kind of time and effort that UPSC gives to produce those 100 questions, okay, so their statements would have some important keyword that can change the meaning of the entire sentence. Their options would have 2 or 3 slippery ones that you can mark correct, which are actually incorrect. So this type of framing is not available in mocks. Okay, so that's why students, even after doing 30-40 mocks, they struggle in the main exam in this logical reduction part. That's why we will be doing many questions that I'll frame myself in class itself, as well as we'll be doing PYQs. That also in class. Okay, if you want to do, I have a source also. I'll share it with the team. There is a Telegram channel in which that guy puts previous year questions of all UPSC slash state PSC exams. Okay, and it has a beautiful format. So there is a question and there are 4 options that you can touch on your phone and select, and then a blast comes of celebrity blast comes out. So you feel good about yourself, and on wrong also the phone vibrates, so you know you have got it wrong. Okay, so that you can do, okay, while lying down on the bed also, or whenever you think of scrolling reels, you can rather scroll some questions, solve them, keep attempting them. Even if you get wrong, what's the matter? Nobody is seeing that. If you go again and forward it again, you can attempt it again. It forgets that you got it wrong. Okay, so you can keep on doing this. Various exams of UPSCs like CDS, CAPF, okay, some LDCs they conduct, EPFO. All these exams questions are very similar. For science and tech, they are a bit different for CDS and CAPF. Otherwise, for most topics, it's very similar, and those are framed by UPSC again. So doing these questions would benefit you a lot. Okay, so this you can do in your free time. Otherwise, we'll be doing MCQs and PYQs in class itself. Then this is for the pre part. Now for the means. I'll share it. I'll share it. I'll get it shared on your group. Okay. For mains, how many questions of science and tech? Not much. Again, 2 to 3 questions. But again, I would say clear difference makers. Okay. Like I can tell you by year. 1 year there was a question on S400. No, not recently. In 2022, I guess. One whole 15 marker was on S400. Okay, at that time, in most current affairs magazines, what was given about S400, I can tell you, it was given that we have taken this from Russia. It is an defense system, and it is one of the most advanced defense systems that India has right now. This much knowledge our beautiful students had to write a 15 marker. Okay, so many people wrote anything. By anything, I mean anything. One of my students wrote that S400. So he was trying to deduce what this 400 is for. He know that it is a defense system. So he said that it can neutralize 400 missiles at once. Okay, so these kind of things people wrote in those 3 pages. Of course, they weren't getting any marks for that. Maybe on a good day, and the examiner feels good about you, he can give you 1-2 marks. That's it. Okay, because he'll see that this girl has written 3 pages, something she has written. Let's give her 1-2 marks. So that much they got. Now, some people were able to guess this. Okay, some people were able to guess this. They had prepared this topic extensively. I know a few people who had prepared this extensively because based on logical deduction of previous year papers and what is in news, they got to this that this may be asked. So they prepared it well with diagrams and everything. And when you are checking copies, no, what happens if you see a copy on S400, you see, okay, some useless stuff, you just leave that copy. Second copy, again useless stuff. You keep on going through the works. Then eventually you get to a copy where he has drawn 2 particular diagrams of S400. Okay, so you tend to get very impressed by it. And in those questions, people who had prepared this well got 7-8 marks easily. Now this single question was able to create a difference of 6 marks, which is huge. If you know, in polity, in GS2, you do value additions. Toppers would have value addition notes that are this thick, and those value addition amounts for half a mark in some question. Okay, that's all the weightage of that is. So by doing all that hard work, you get 6 marks extra in GS2 subjects. Here you can get it out of one question. Okay, so 2-3 questions are there, and at least I'm not telling that you can guess all three, can get all three correct. Other people won't be able to do anything. Okay, that I'm not saying, but even if you get one question that you have prepared solidly in science and tech, it fetches you very well marks. Okay, so the weightage is less. Similar, I can say about art and culture also in GS1. This also is not prepared very well by most people, because how much can you prepare? And in this also, if you have prepared well, you get very good marks in this part also. Okay, so in this way, science and tech becomes important. Of course, some years they ask some random questions that we cannot help. Some years they ask extremely random questions. Like one year they asked about blue LEDs. Okay, this was I think in 2021 or 2022. They asked about blue LEDs. Blue LEDs was in news in 2014 because it has won Nobel Prize. So it makes no sense to be giving it in 2021 or 2022. But they just gave it. People wrote anything. Nobody was able to write these questions very well anyway. So it's fine. These 1-2 questions are there, which sometimes cannot be done. You can write anything. But in those 1-2 questions, which you have prepared well and it comes in exam, you will get a good advantage. Similarly, a question was asked on Hubble telescope. Again, complete all the things about Hubble telescope was asked. And some people were able to write that well as well. Okay. So this is for science and tech in mains. Yes, in mains, what would come and what would not, it's a bit tricky. So every topic we'll be having some mains question. And right now, because you are new to this system, so I will be dictating you the question, as well as because you are new, I will also dictating you answers. Okay, proper structured model answers I'll dictate you. We will try to think about it in class how we should write it, but then I'll dictate you write. After that, once the course reaches a bit of like you develop a bit of understanding, then we can do this in class itself. I can give you like 10 minutes and you can write. Okay, initially I'll be helping you out with this. Every chapter we'll add some questions which I think are probable, but probability is always there. Okay, this is for means. Understood? Any problem? Weightage, distribution, importance? Nothing? Okay. Now some do's and don'ts. See, in class, I don't need to tell. You also know while you're doing those don'ts that this shouldn't be done. Okay, while you're talking to a person beside you, you're walking, you're going out, you're coming back, you're drinking water or whatever, so that you know, don'ts everybody understands, and I'm very lenient that way. So if you come late, don't come on time, you leave, you come back, I would be fine with it. I would be fine with everything you do till the time you're wasting your own time. Okay, because you are adults, you are responsible for yourself. So till the time you are wasting your time, you are scrolling, you are doing whatever, that's fine. But when it creates nuisance for others or others are getting disturbed, then I would have to intervene. Otherwise, you're free to do whatever, sit however you want to. I won't be saying that sit straight, this, that, nothing. Okay. Of course, I will be encouraging you to write notes, do this, be careful, all this, but I won't be pointing out normally unless you're disturbing the class. So you're free to do whatever you want. But some do's. See, I will be giving you dictation on some topics. Okay. There are slides also that will be shared with you. The current affairs slides will also be shared with you. Current affairs handout also you will get from the institute. Everything would be given to you. But still, I expect you to make notes in class. If you want, I will always wait. If you say, sir, wait for a minute, or sir, let us write, I'll wait. No issues in that. You must make some form of notes, some form of running notes, because that is always easier to revise in your own handwriting, in your own understanding. Whatever you have understood, please write it. Okay. Okay. One more thing. Make notes in any language you like. Okay. If you understood a thing, you don't need to write it in English only. Whatever language you are more comfortable in Hindi, English, Kannada, Marathi, whatever you want to write, you can write. Okay. Some people have a misconception about mains, that because we'll be giving mains in English, everything that we read, everything that we understand should be in English, and that we will replicate exactly in exam. It does not work like this. If you are giving this exam seriously, you will have to reach a point where you are not learning sentences. All you would be remembering, because there would be so many topics and so many subjects, all you would be remembering on the day of mains is concepts, the core concepts. Okay. Some value addition and some examples. This is all what you will remember in the exam hall. With this, you will frame answers. If you perform well here, all the teachers are there. We will be telling you how to structure an answer, how to write an answer. You will write multiple times. So eventually you will get to this point where if I just tell you a concept, if I just explain you what is cloudburst right now in, let's say Kannada, I don't know Kannada, but anyway, I explain you it in Kannada, and I go out and I give you 2 pages to write a 10 marker, you would be able to write. You should be able to write. For that, we will be doing many questions and tests and everything that the institute takes. Okay, so all you would remember is this. That's why if you understand anything more in your language, if you don't need to think that I should write it in English only, I should write it very point wise only, your notes need not be very beautiful, need not be very beautiful. Okay, you're not writing notes to be published, you're writing it for yourself. Maybe it gets published, okay, when you clear this exam and you open that toppers channel and all, but till that time you're doing it for yourself. So don't make it very beautiful. Some students, they write so, like their notes are so beautiful. If you look at them, 3 pens are used and everything, beautiful it is. Now suddenly if I think that, oh, this is also important, so I will tell them, they're like, now this beauty, how would I destroy this beauty for this one point? So don't be that person. Just write wherever you can. Even if even on the margin, on the upside, you can make a box and write. Nobody is coming to take your notes. Okay. Don't worry. Until you clear this exam, nobody cares about your notes, except for all those insects that wants to eat it. Otherwise, nobody cares. So write notes for yourself, whatever you will be able to understand in your own language, in whatever way you want to. Okay. Some people, like I know a few toppers who were not able to share their notes because the language they have used in their notes was not very parliamentary. Okay. So they had written something on analysis of paper. They have literally abused themselves that why you got this wrong, that wrong. So they were not able to share their notes, but it does not matter. They are in the services. So I'm not encouraging you to do any of this, but the point is write your notes for yourself. Okay. Then revise every day. It's a basic of every subject. You must revise every day. I would suggest you revise within an hour. If you can sit here and revise, it's even better. Otherwise, just try to revise it within an hour. It will save your time. You will do it quickly and it just fixes in your mind. Instead, what will happen? Well, this is a new issue that now the new gen is facing, is immediately after the class ends, we start our dopamine hit. Like we will start our phone, WhatsApp, Instagram, okay, some YouTube, some shorts, start talking to someone, watching something. So what happens? Like when you were a child, you would remember, like you might have experienced it yourself or might have heard other people saying that I could hear my sir's or madam's voice in the exam hall, right? This does not happen anymore. Okay. It does not happen because you are consuming so much content every day. This is actually a physical class, so still you would remember, you may remember something, but if you are watching it in video, that day, that 3 hour lecture, because your screen time is anyway 8-9 hours, so that is not even 50% of the time that you are seeing a screen. And of course, we are not as interesting as people on the Instagram or YouTube dancing or whatever you like. Okay. So you would remember them better, right? Like this whole class won't be as interesting as a Mr. Beast video. Okay. So you would remember that better. So that's why what I'm saying is once the class is done, it's still fresh. Please revise it. Try to get it settled in your head. Okay. While you're studying also, this I say, once people put a timer that I'll study for this much time. So 1 hour timer they put, let's say 2 hour timer they put, 2 hour they study. Immediately when they stop studying, they open the laptop. So then they will start watching YouTube. So your brain does not get time to process and settle what all you have read. Don't be in this habit. It is fatal. Okay. You will not remember anything because after the boring lecture you saw one great latent or some episode, so of course you won't remember anything. So give it time to settle. Please don't start using phone or other co-curricular activities, whatever you do. Just revise it. If even if you don't want to revise it, you are tired, just be calm. Like let your brain be blank at least. Okay. Then try to be involved in the class. See, I know all of you are adults now. Okay. So your sense of humor or anything would have also evolved. Okay, you might like much more edgy humor now. Now in a classroom environment, only dad jokes can work. Okay, so all the jokes or all whatever I'm trying to tell you would be very round and round only. Okay, so now don't search for that kind of dopamine hit that you can get out of the kind of content that you watch. Okay, the classes, we try to make it interesting. Every teacher would try to. So try to learn like a child. Okay, remember in your childhood you must be curious. You were trying to learn things. Every new thing that you learned, you felt good about yourself. So try to have that. Okay, try to have that so that you have a bit of interest in the class. Otherwise it soon gets a bit boring. Okay, so be a bit involved. If I'm giving you a question, MCQ, asking you how many of you think it's A, please don't see here and there and then just watch the other person raise somewhere. Okay, or if I'm not looking at you, you have your hands down in all four options. Okay, attempt something, get it wrong, like be involved. Okay, if I'm telling you, can you frame an answer? Actively think. You know that after 2 minutes this fat guy is going to tell the whole answer. Okay, and we'll write it. Still, for those 2 minutes, at least think that how I would have written the answer. This is being involved in class. Understood? That's it. These are the do's and don'ts you already know. After this, we'll be starting. I'll be telling you basics about what this course entails, all the chapters, and a bit introduction about them. If you have any queries till now, you can ask. Nothing? Move forward? Okay. Science and tech. First chapter that we'll be doing is basics of chemistry. Okay. Basics of chemistry. See, basics of physics we won't be doing as a separate lecture, because in physics the topics are physics is very vast. Also, it is not much useful to learn all those physics concepts in UPSC. So what we'll be doing, whenever we are taking different chapters, we'll be dealing with the physics parts there itself. But the chemistry part, the basic understanding of atomic structure, what is matter, right? Different kinds of matter, 5 states of matter, you would have heard. 3 states of matter: solid, liquid, gas, and 2 more. Yes, plasma and Bose-Einstein condensate. So 2 more we'll learn. All these basic stuff like acid, bases, and salts, right? Then what are fuels? All these basic things, right? Electrolysis, then separation. Separation, by separation I mean how you separate two materials. Okay, like how you separate, like if you have water and sand, how would you separate them? Filtration, right? If you have any liquid with like crude oil, how is it separated, you know? Crude oil, yes. So crude oil is crude oil. Crude oil is something that you get out of earth. Okay, this crude oil only has all the kinds of fuel that you hear of: petrol, diesel, natural gas. Okay, that Vaseline that you put on your face, that is residue. So that all of these are coming from the crude oil itself. So how do you take a crude oil, which is let's say a 10-liter crude oil, and how do you separate it? The petrol, diesel, Vaseline, how you separate them, there are processes for it. The process is called fractional distillation. These all we'll learn in basics of chemistry. Understood? This will help you later when we are learning about batteries or when we are learning about quantum technology, nanotechnology. So that's why we'll cover it first. Okay. After this, we'll be doing nanotechnology. Okay. Nanotechnology is is nothing but a unit of measurement. Okay. So 1 meter is equals to 10 to the power 9 nanometers. If I were to make you feel what's a nanometer, you take a hair strand of yours. The thickness of that hair strand is still 1 lakh times more than a nanometer. So the thickness of your hair strand, it's very small, right? If you divide it 1 lakh times, then what you get, infinitely small thing that you can't even see, that is nanometer. Understood? So when we deal with elements at nano level, so this is, let's say this is a gold coin. This is a gold coin that you can see 10 gram, 1 tola gold coin is there. Okay. Now this is fairly visible to you, some centimeters it is. Now if you keep on reducing its size, you reach to atomic or just above atomic level, around 10 to the power 9, 10 to the power minus 9 meter. Then what you reach? You reach nanoscale. So at that very small scale, what happens? We have observed changed in properties. Okay. Without any chemical reaction, anything, just by reduction of size, what we saw, it was showing different properties. Okay. This was observed. For example, this gold. What does gold, what is the color of gold? Gold color only. Lustrous gold. Okay. So let's say like, it is actually gold only, but let's say it is yellow. Okay. So gold looks yellow. Now, if you keep on reducing its size, it has been observed that you can also make it look purple. You can make it look pink and even red. Not any chemical reaction, just by reducing their size. Why it happens, how it happens, how have we harnessed it? This is nanotechnology. Understood? This is nanotechnology that we'll deal in detail. First, we'll understand the concepts. Why does it happen like this? And then we'll see applications, how it is used in day-to-day lives. Right? Like nano application, you must have, okay, you must remember the time when there used to be CDs and DVDs, right? And it used to be so big. There was, I don't know how young you people are. So there were two things. Okay. There used to be one CD. Okay. And there used to be one DVD. Remember this? Okay. So the CD had much less memory. You needed two CDs for one movie. Yeah. And in DVDs, in a single DVD, 4 or 5 movies used to be clubbed together. Most of them were useless. Only one movie was good in them. Okay. So they used to club it like that. So just imagine how big they were and how small data they used to carry. And now you see your phone has a small chip, right? And your phone has a memory of 128 GB, 256 GB, whatever. So this has been made possible because of what? Nanotechnology. Because we have reduced everything to so small. There is a thing called transistors that is used in making them. Now, when we make transistors from these elements or bulk elements, it used to be big, right? That floppy disk of 1.4 MB used to be this big. Floppy disk, you won't be knowing. Okay, I also saw it later in life. So floppy disk used to be 1.4 MB and it was this big. Now you have these small chips which has memory of many GBs, now even TBs. We don't have it because we are not that rich, but there are chips which are having memory of in TBs, and they are this one. They use nanotechnology. Understood? These are the real life applications of nanotechnology. Both of these will be dealing. Okay, next. Information and communication technology. This entails all kinds of technologies used in information and communication, like 4G, 5G, Web 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. All this we learn here. All this payment infrastructure also, QR code or fast tag. What are the concepts behind them that we learn here? So again, there will be two parts. One would be concepts. See, they are based on different principles. Why 4G, why 5G is much faster than 4G? Because it is based on different technology. This 4G, 5G term is not coined by Apple. Okay, that their new iPhone has nothing new. It's not like that. So fourth generation or the third generation and fourth generation has a huge difference in the underlying technology behind them. That's why they were called from third generation to fourth generation, that is 4G. Now when we have moved to 5G, there is a complete shift in underlying technology. That's why it is called that's why it is called fifth generation. Okay, so that underlying technology we'll understand why 5G is able to provide you better or more speeds. It is not that small difference. See what happens, like let's say you have an iPhone, okay, and in every ad they say that this is the best iPhone till now. Okay, so this is, let's say, iPhone, I don't know what is going on, let's say iPhone 23. Okay, and then they launch iPhone 24. So the difference is not much. They have improved the camera a bit, the sound quality they have improved a bit, they have used some better versions of camera, or music that is present, of course it is present, so they have used that and they have launched a new one. This is not how the real changes in technology is happening. 4G and 5G has a huge increase in speeds, but it is not caused by that infinitely small change that we have made the connections faster. The complete overhaul or change of technology is there. That's why 5G is providing much better speeds. 6G would come only when such a new technology comes that can bring a lot of change. Then only it will come. Similarly, for Web 1.0, 2.0, we will learn. Okay, like Web 1.0, Web 2.0, Web 3.0, these are different kinds of internet. So initially when things started, it was the internet was one way. Okay, so what you could do is you would type something, you search something, and the information about it used to come, right? That was the initial internet. Then what happened? It became two-way, Web 2.0, where what you were using, you started logging into something. You logged into your Facebook, to your mail. You could send mail, you could receive mail. So it became two-way communication, right? Then came Web 3.0, which is still coming. So Web 3.0, what it believes is right now, if I want to use, if let's say I want to talk to my friends, I have to use, let's say, Facebook or Instagram or WhatsApp, something or the other app I have to use, right? And they have monopolies over it. So they can somehow control how we interact. Correct? Like if you open Facebook now, most people don't use Facebook anymore. But if you open Facebook now, you would you would die, but you won't find any of your friends posting anything. because all you would see is random videos and ads that they keep on posting. Your entire feed is filled with that. Why you were on Facebook? Why you logged into Facebook? To see what your other friends are doing. But because there is an intermediary who has to extract a lot of profit, you are not able to see what you really want. So Web 3.0 is a future technology where what we are saying is, instead of these intermediaries, we will be dealing with internet directly in a more democratized version. So if we have to talk, we will have individual profiles. I can directly talk to you without any intermediary of Facebook or Instagram or whatever. So that is Web 3.0. It is not applicable right now, but we are moving towards it. So you understand there is a whole change. First was only information was provided to you. Second was you can put in some information and you get some information, but there are intermediaries. Web 3.0 is without intermediaries, will be communicated. Understood? So this generation changes are there. So all these concepts we'll be learning, and apart from them, of course, with them, their related applications as well. Okay, shall we move forward? Emerging technologies. वहां बैठ जाओ, वहां better दिखेगा. Emerging technologies. Okay, so in this, what we'll be seeing is two major technologies and some other technologies as well. One is quantum technologies and other is blockchain technologies. Some others also, but majorly these two: quantum technologies and blockchain technologies. What is quantum technology? See, when we are dealing in classical mechanics or classical physics, that we know that if I leave this pen, it will drop down. Okay, you must be knowing speed, velocity, distance, time, all this you know. This is called classical mechanics or classical physics. Okay, this is how most of our world governs. So we can make sense of it. Now, when we were talking about nanotechnology, what we were doing, we were just reducing their size and there were changes that we observed. Now, if we reach at atomic or subatomic levels, atom, you know, atom structure. This is, let's say, nucleus. So it has proton and all around it are electrons. This is a super simplified diagram, but you get the point. There are proton and neutrons in the nucleus and all around it are nucleus. This is how a typical atom looks like. Because there are many like this. It looks much better in 3D, but I'm not that good. Okay, so an atoms looks like something like this. Now, when you reach atomic or subatomic level, when you start playing with all these things, then what happens? You see a completely different kind of physics that is operating. So these particles, they don't work on the principles of physics that we know of, right? The kind of understanding of time that we have, right? Like if I do this, if I tap this, there is a lag by which you listen this noise. Okay, so you understand it कि अभी बजाया अभी सुनाई देगा, ठीक है? If I open this, there is a lag between when I click this and when it really operates. So there is always a time lag. that you understand in physics or in your normal life, right? At quantum level, you won't be seeing time the similar way, or any measurement or any physics the similar way. It works on completely different principles. It won't work like gravity, like the gravity that we are used to. That if you drop it, it directly drops on the or directly drops downward. It does not happen like that at electrons level. Okay, so the physics that is used here is very different, and that is called quantum physics. It's a completely different science. It is a very difficult and complicated science. Of course, we won't be doing this. We would be only learning about 2-3 main principles of quantum mechanics and their applications. That's it. Otherwise, quantum mechanics or quantum physics is one of the most important branches that, when gets resolved completely, would change the entire human civilization. Okay, like how we think, how we see or perceive things, that only will change. Okay, so this is quantum technology. We will learn about its theory, whatever underlying concepts are there, and its application. Application you won't have felt much, like have you seen a quantum computer? Quantum computer? No. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so there are uses of quantum technology. Okay, there are uses of quantum technology that we are seeing. Okay, there are uses of quantum technologies that we are seeing, but it is not in everyday use. Okay, it will eventually come in everyday use. Right now, the problem is that there is a quantum state that has to be maintained in this subatomic or atomic level, and that can only be maintained at very low temperatures and this pressure condition, that pressure condition. So in normal environment, this state is not even achieved. So normally that's why you don't see its applications, but we'll read about it. Okay, then blockchain technology. You know what's blockchain technology? Yes, digital currency is an application of blockchain technology, like cryptocurrency. Yes, yes. It's called a decentralized ledger. Okay. What happens normally, if anything is there, like let's say this video is getting recorded, it is getting recorded in this system. Okay. Where does this video actually is? Like it is being broadcast as somebody is recording, that's different. This whole video is in this laptop only, right? Now, if I were to transfer this video, I can do this only through this laptop. Now, if anybody comes here and changes some things in the video in this laptop, that video is changed forever, right? Because this was the only source of that video. He changed it, he came, he drew something, he whatever he added, some defect of me saying something, and he made that video changed. Now, the version of video that is available now to the world is that edited one. Nobody can do anything about it. Okay, in this way, when there are transactions between, let's say, these two systems, right? This system has some information, it is sending it to that computer. Now, if anybody intercepts in between this and changes the information, the changed information would be received by the receiver. And there is no way that he can check that the information was tampered with. Okay, he will think that, let's say, A and B. He would think that A was sending me this only, while the information was tempered in between. Correct? Correct. So that is why the normal methods or the normal transactions or normal sharing of or communication is not that safe. It can be easily intercepted. What blockchain does is, understand it. See, there are thousands and thousands of interconnected systems around the world. called servers. Okay, so let's say these are 4 systems. Okay, now I have to do a financial transaction. I have to send money to you. Okay, here is me, here's you. You have a phone and I also have a phone. Okay, now if normally I was sending, I would send this money to you. It can always be intercepted in between. Of course, the new digital system that we have is much more secure through other measures, but it can be intercepted. Now what we do in blockchain is, this information is put by me, where I say that I am going to send this much money to you. Okay, now these all different servers have different information that they can add. Now this server can only add the name of receiver, and when it adds the name of the receiver to this transaction, only when he sees that I have forwarded this transaction. The next step, the next server would first ensure that I have sent this, I have set to send this money to you, and there is also account number, the name that we entered. The name that we entered is also there. Then only it will add what? It will add, say, your address, right? So this server is also rechecking that any information is not tampered with before. Okay, like if it goes here, this would, the next server would again test everything, and then only he will add this. Correct? If he sees that in this first 3 information anything is tampered with, then this server won't add this information, this transaction won't proceed. Understood? So every transaction, everybody in this whole chain can check the entire transaction. It goes round and round. So every system can check all the transactions, but they cannot change the transactions. Okay, they can change only what they are assigned to. They cannot change other things, because if we allow these servers only to change everything, then also it becomes only one server doing everything. So this way it proceeds, and if nothing is tampered with, every server receives and adds it information, then eventually you will get the money. Otherwise, if it is tampered with anywhere, it will go backtrack and I'll get my money back. It will say money not set. Understood? This is how very generic blockchain works. We'll of course study it in very detail when we study the whole concept. Okay. So what's the good about this? What's good about this is it is distributed. So it is not based on 1 or 2 persons or servers. There are thousands and thousands of servers, and everybody can access this information. So even now, this information, that where the transaction is or which part is getting added, this can be accessed by all servers in the chain. So every server can see that, okay, the transaction, this is going on, this is that going on. So this is essentially said to be unhackable, because it is very difficult to hack, or if any part is changed, eventually every part would be changed. We will also see how quantum technology, if introduced into it, it will become like, it will like, right now also it is very difficult to hack it, but if quantum technology is added to blockchain, it will permanently become unhackable, or like completely secure transaction, like nothing can happen to it using that quantum technology. So this is quantum technology and this is blockchain. Other technologies also, we'll see some robotics and all that, physics we'll see. Then fifth topic, we'll see energy. In energy, again, we'll focus more on nuclear energy. Okay, nuclear energy, you know, right? Nuclear fission, nuclear fusion. What is fission? What is fusion? Hmm, hmm, hmm. See, fission is breaking down of a big atom. So let's say uranium breaks into 2 or 3 parts. This is fission. Fusion is 2, 3 small atoms you take and you fuse them into one. That is fusion. Very basic. Of course, a lot of points would come later when we take the whole class, but you get fission is breaking of a large particles into multiple particles. Fusion is multiple particles coalescing into one particle. Okay, fission and fusion. So we'll be learning about this basic concept, what is fission, fusion and all that, and of course the nuclear energy. See, nuclear energy, what person must have heard, Elon Musk, you know. So Elon Musk says that if we have a nuclear facility of the size of a small town, of a very small town, just that much of a nuclear facility can power the entire world. We don't need any other coal, sun, this, that, whatever kind of energy that we are using right now. Nothing we would need. Just this much facility of nuclear can power the entire world. So that much that much electricity can be generated out of nuclear power to run everything and anything. Now, why this has not been the reality? Because you must have heard about nuclear leaks. Chernobyl, you must have heard, right? So what happened in 1950s and 60s? Some nuclear power plants had some malfunction, and because of that malfunction, there were radiations that were released, and everybody got very scared around the world. Governments and all the private entities, they got very scared, and the further development of nuclear technology was slowed down by a lot. Okay, that's why the nuclear technology that we are using, it has still progressed in last few decades, is still not that foolproof that it might have been by now. Of course, in the meanwhile, killing a few people. Okay, but it might have been developed into a foolproof technology by now. See, the great thing about nuclear energy is it releases a lot of energy, a lot of energy. Like we are using all that windmill we put, okay, that big windmill and all those transformers and everything, and we are waiting for the wind to blow and then it goes this. Okay, some electricity, like the sun or the solar cookers and all that you use, whole day you put it, then you get some energy. So those all processes we do here just by a single reaction. In fact, it produces so much energy that the entire scientific community works not on releasing more energy out of this, they work on controlling nuclear fission and fusion. Okay, so the anyway the energy that is being released by, let's say, fission is a lot. The problem is we are not able to control it well. We don't want to increase any energy outcomes of this. If only we can control it, it's enough. Okay, so this is nuclear technology. Slowly India is also focusing more on it, other countries are also focusing on it. Because of this climate change and all, it becomes important. Okay, so nuclear energy and also other forms of energy, especially new forms. Okay, other forms of energy can be coal, can be sun, wind, hydro, all these are other forms of energy. But what UPSC is now focusing on is new forms of energy. You won't find a question based on hydropower or wind power in UPSC, but you would definitely find a question based on say green hydrogen, biofuels, all this would find. So this new forms of energy we'll understand, of course, the electric batteries. So these new forms are generally asked, that we'll study in detail. Understood? That would be for energy. After this, what was that? 5, 6. Space technology. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Batteries, I wrote. Electric batteries, EV, all we will deal with. Yeah. Huh? Lithium ion batteries. Yeah, all kinds of batteries. Okay. Then space tech. Space technology nowadays a lot in news. Okay, always in news. Space technology. There are again two parts to it. One is concepts, and one is recent missions. This is very factual, but still sometimes questions appear, so that we'll prepare this. And of course the concept part, what is a launcher, what is a satellite, how a satellite rotates, what kind of satellite is used for communication, what kind of satellite is used for remote sensing, all this we learn. Okay, one thing that I want to tell you about space tech is, in current affairs magazine you would find a lot of current affairs from space tech. Okay, a lot. Like in 1 year they would tell about all the missions of NASA, European Space Agency, Japanese Space Agencies, and all that. Okay, and now NASA, of course, NASA is doing this only. Okay, apart from taking Diwali pictures, they are doing this satellite only. So they would do a lot of missions. Okay, and all those missions would be detailed in those notes. Now you need not, of course, you can read it once so that if a questions come, you are able to guess it. But please don't overtly focus on it or try to learn it. It's not worth it. Okay. Instead, we will focus on concepts and some recent missions, especially of India or of other countries in which India has some involvement, or if some missions are there which are taking humanity much ahead. Okay, like if a mission is there to go on Mercury, that will read. Okay, but general missions that we are also going to moon, and US also is going to moon, and China also is going to moon, we are doing some research, they are also doing some research, so that way we will only deal with India. Okay, you also don't focus much on them. Yes, yes, yes. ISRO India, whatever missions are there of India, will cover it completely. Okay. So ISRO, all India missions are mostly led by ISRO only. So we will cover all that. Okay. Then defense tech. It is somewhere related to space tech also, because those same rockets are used for space as well as sending missiles to Pakistan. Okay, or whatever adversary we have. Okay, so they are sometimes studied together. We will see some concepts of space tech being used here as well. Okay, defense tech, we learn all about all the kinds, because we are in actually uh, in a war right now with a country, and we have also declared that the war still continuing. PM in a speech said that Operation Sindoor has not ended, it is still continuing. So we are actively at war, though you may not feel it, and you are living in Bangalore, so it's no problem at all. The weather is also good, you can go out, and anyway, it's very safe. Okay. By the way, that Pahalgam attack, you remember? It happened on 22nd of April. At that time, in March and April, I had taken a course or class in Srinagar. Okay. Not many faculties were willing to go, but I said, of course, I'll go. Okay, Srinagar, I'll roam around. It's beautiful. Kashmir is beautiful. So I took that. Okay. Some faculties also said, please don't go. I said, Vadia. Okay. So I went. March, April, I was there only. Now, on 18th of April, I was in Pahalgam. Okay. On 19th, I flew. 19th April, I flew and I reached back to Delhi. Okay. 18th, I was there. Now, when this on 19th, I came back. I have come back home. I have enjoyed being in Kashmir. Okay. So I'm telling all my family members, and even extended family members. Otherwise, they're not interested much. But since I went to Kashmir, so they were like, how is it? How? So I'm telling all of them that it was very good, this, that. And I have all my students there in from Pahalgam to Sonmarg, Gulmarg. Anywhere you want to go, I can make a call. And most of the thing is like in Kashmir, most people, their families are engaged in tourism only. So some of my students has cafes, some had hotels and all this. Okay, so I said everything would be taken care of. So all my family, even the extended family we are going to Kashmir. Okay, 3 days later, 22nd of April, unfortunately, Pahalgam attack happened. And everybody got concerned. Some family members didn't know that I came back. So they were also calling. And my mother asked me that how far were you from, how far is this from your Srinagar where you were living? So I showed her a photo of exact that place on exactly same horses with those same people who were helping people to ride horses. I have that exact photo. I was there on 18th April on that same valley where that unfortunate incident happened. Thankfully, I wasn't there and I got saved. But yeah, it was like it was so safe back then. Like I remember in Srinagar, there is a tulip garden. Okay, tulip garden had seen 28 lakh tourists. 28 lakh tourists in Srinagar. Okay, Srinagar had jams longer than Bangalore. We were stuck in for 6 kilometers. We were stuck for like 8 hours. They had so much jams, traffic jams. It was so crowded, and such was the tourism in Kashmir. And then this very unfortunate incident happened. It has taken Kashmir tourism like back a few years. It's very unfortunate, and of course, people who lost their lives. So that's why then this whole attack was launched, and people I know some students from Jammu also, and then the retaliation from Pakistan was also very brutal. So that was not covered in the media much because, of course, you are in a war, so you have to show a strong face to your public. But the issue was that Pakistan side was directly attacking the civilians on the borders. Some news must have reached you, but the real impact of it was very huge. Okay, a lot of people just living in their rooms or living in their houses lost their lives. Suddenly, something or the other keep coming at them. So very unfortunate. India also attacked. Thankfully, the war ended, and like the prime minister is saying that we are still at war. So we don't know that if there would be further attacks from both sides. What we do know that because we are at war now, we can always expect questions from defense technology. Okay, defense technology becomes very important now. All about missiles and how it is launched, our defense systems, whatever INS, all this we will learn. Not going too much in detail also because it is a very complicated technology, but we will read it extensively. Earlier, I didn't used to focus much on it because alternate years or every 3 years there used to be one question. That was the weightage. But now it should increase. So defense technology will come. After this, we will have basics of biology. Basics of biology. Basic things we'll learn. What is a cell? Animal cell, plant cell. Okay. What is DNA, RNA, how genes are transferred. All this basics we'll learn. Okay, chromosomes, this, that, which the basics of biology. In basics of biology, we won't be reading all the basics of biology. We will only be reading those portions which are further used in biotechnology portion. Otherwise, I can pass my time and teach you digestive system or respiratory system. Okay, but that would be of no use. Okay, so we will focus most on which are being developed or which will be used in biotechnology. That part will cover. Okay, now last two parts. I'm combining these two, so it will be a long chapter. Biotechnology and health. Biotechnology and health. Again, fairly important. Okay. In biotechnology, we'll be learning the new technologies, whatever are coming. Like you must have heard about gene editing. You would have heard gene editing. What happens in gene editing? Direct design of babies. Okay. Yeah. Yes. And then you will send it to nano and inside you will disconnect, you will edit that particular DNA and that gene. Yeah. Okay. So what happens if this is a DNA of a parent, let's say, and let's say you have, let's say this parent has a hereditary disease. Let's say he or she has sickle cell anemia. Okay. So it would be contained somewhere in the DNA, right? Because anything that passes from your father or mother to you is through DNA. That's the only medium. Okay. So it would somewhere be contained in your DNA. Correct. So what we will do, we have of course identified that this portion or this chain of nucleotides, this chain, you understand, this chain causes sickle cell anemia. So what we will do is we can remove this part, cut this, remove this part. Think it simply only, no? Okay, we just remove this part. We can let them join to ends like this also, or otherwise we can introduce a healthy nucleotide chain that can fit in here and introduce it here. So we will remove this and put this in its place. Now what we'll have? We will have a completely healthy DNA. And this is passed to the offspring, and the offspring is born without that abnormality or disease. This is very basic of how things work. Okay. Now, of course, it is very complex. It has taken us like more than a century to reach here. Okay. Every part of it is given Nobel Prize. Okay. The guy who said this, we have identified this, we can cut this, Nobel Prize. Huh? The guy who said that take it out and these two can be joined, Nobel Prize. The guy who said this one we can put and like this we can put, Nobel Prize. Okay. So it's that difficult. Understood? So eventually we get to this where we get a healthy DNA. This is the good part. That way we can deal with many diseases by changing at the gene level, gene editing. Okay. Now there are also ethical concerns related with it. ethical concerns. For example, one is that girl was saying designer babies. What is designer babies? Yeah. Yes. So let's say this is the DNA that I am passing on to my offspring. Okay. Now, what I can do is I say that anyway I don't like my eyes. So what I want is my child to have eyes like Aishwarya Rai. Okay. So I would get this removed, and instead, of course, we would know the nucleotide, that is nucleotide chain that is required for a blue eye, and we put that in its place. And now, though in my entire family chain nobody has blue eyes, my son would have blue eyes. Okay. So in this way, this is just eyes. We can do it with anything. Okay. Like if you see me, you can tell that in my whole lineage, nobody was a good sportsman. Okay. But I can get the similar genes from, say, Yuvraj Singh, whose whole family has been into sports and have been champions of it. So I will put that here, and my daughter that would be born would probably be having those genes. So in this way, we can eventually alter everything and create a designer baby. So all, like if you see all, like now if you see all the Bollywood actresses, they all look the same. Okay, because of different surgeries they start looking very similar. So that way, with designer babies, what we will do, we will start creating similar humans. Okay. Now till it is cosmetic, it's still fine, they look the same, it's fine. But the problem occurs when you try to make everyone genetically similar, because when we are genetically extremely same, then one disease can eliminate us all. This diversity that we have, that all of us look different, have different genetics, our body behaves differently, is why human species or any species survives. Okay. Otherwise, if we had the same genes, everybody would have caught that severe COVID, and almost all the population would have gone. But some people had different genes and they had a better immunity, they survived, some could not, and all these changes we see. So that's why designer babies as a concept is not very ethical, and it may be a challenge eventually. When another challenge I can also tell you is use of animals or humans like trees. Okay, not the correct word, but what we'll be doing is, what we can start doing is, you must have heard about transplantation. Okay, so what they do is, we find an animal that has a, let's say if I have to do a heart transplant, I would find an animal that has heart similar to that of human. Now from that animal I can procure heart, or I can make some heart fragments from my own heart, and then I put it in that animal. That animal would grow a healthy heart, and eventually we will take that heart out of him and put that back in the human. So that animal would be of use, or would die. Okay. Now this won't only be happening to animals. This can also happen to humans. You must have heard, like in India, India is such a vast country, everything that can happen has happened in India. Okay, so you must have heard about doctors who take out kidneys, okay, and they sell it. You know Lalu Prasad Yadav? Yeah, Lalu Prasad Yadav, you must be knowing. Apparently, one of her daughters has donated one kidney of hers to him. This is just apparently. Okay, because just after donating, she was with him and smiling and everything. That does not happen regularly, because your one kidney is gone. Okay, how you are so normal. But anyway, because in India, like for donating any organ, you have to have altruistic relationship with them. Okay, so if you are directly related to a person, then only you can donate. Otherwise, you can't. Like if I feel I can't donate anything to you, You can do that only in family. So that's why that whole drama was created, but God knows from where the kidney came. Okay, because there is a huge black market, and Laluji, by God's grace, is no saint. So we know how it came. Okay, anyway, so these are the kinds of concern that we are seeing. This is in biotechnology. We will also learn about health, the diseases that we are facing. Disease burden of India is very high. Okay, two kinds of diseases, lifestyle diseases and other kinds of diseases, you can say. All these lifestyle diseases, lifestyle diseases which are not caused by any bacteria, virus, or any outside organisms, like diabetes, okay, obesity. These are all lifestyle diseases. So lifestyle disease burden in India is very high. You must be knowing all your relatives. Half of them would be having some form of blood pressure, sugar, something or the other. If it is not, then good for you. But otherwise, it is very common in India. Okay. So all those diseases, then government is actively taking steps to eradicate certain diseases that we'll see. We will also see vaccines in this. Okay, different kinds of vaccines became a very popular phrase after COVID. Okay, people were taking doses after doses. Okay, some people have records also, have taken these many doses. Okay, I also took 3 4. Okay, because like also one thing was there, initially some people, when they got their first dose, they got fever. Okay, so everybody got concerned initially. Okay, that we are getting fever, like we don't know how it will react with our body, will survive or not. Anyway, people are saying that you should not take vaccine. So all this was there. Then of course our Serum Institute and all developed better ways of vaccines, and people stopped getting any kind of fever. Now people are concerned this one is not working only. Some water, what they have put, no fever, nothing we are feeling. Okay, so now they were going back to that older vaccine that they had, which were causing fever, because now they thought that one is working better. So all kinds of things people were doing, this vaccine, that vaccine, booster dose, this dose, that dose, everything was being taken. About the efficacy of them, how they have worked, that we'll know years later. Because some people have seen certain issues, like I have, like in my extended family, there are people who developed certain issues post COVID, not post vaccination, post COVID, which have caused them lifestyle issues, lifestyle diseases. So their blood has thickened. Okay, now they keep taking medicine and all, so their blood just becomes a bit less dense and it flows normally, but once they stop taking medicine, it becomes denser again. So these kind of diseases have spread after COVID. So the real impact of a pandemic like COVID or of vaccines, we will only get to know years later. Okay, so we'll be learning about vaccines, all this vaccination system for small children. Also we have Mission Indradhanush, if you might have heard. So every child gets a booklet of certain immunization programs that the government wants you to take. Okay, and some are optional, that the, like, from middle class to upper middle class, all those people are taking those vaccinations also. So all those vaccinations, how vaccines work is also important to learn, that also we do. Okay, then last chapter, IPR, intellectual property rights, and whatever is remaining, some miscellaneous, that we'll also cover. This is a floating chapter. If we get bored of one chapter, it is going for too long, we can take it. IPR is a floating chapter. It does not has to be this order need not be followed for IPR. Okay. Anyway, so IPR, intellectual property rights. What is an intellectual property? Something non-intangible, no, sorry, something intangible that comes out of human intellect. That is intellectual property, right? Like you have house, like you have land, all these are physical properties. Then you have financial properties that UPSC has also asked the question on, that the stocks you hold, bonds you hold, that is financial. Now this is intellectual property. What is coming out of your intellect? Like if I create some notes, so this is my intellectual property. Like right now when I joined this institution, there is always a intellectual property document that we sign. In that, there is a column in which we write all the things that we have developed prior to entering this institution. Okay, so whatever notes, quizzes, whatever I have prepared before, I will write it here so that it always belongs to me. So that's how we ensure intellectual property in every organization. This is now the norm, that you first declare whatever is your intellectual property. Okay, and both parties sign over it so that there is no further dispute over it. Okay, so this is intellectual property. All the songs, movies, or whatever books, those are all intellectual properties. Intellectual properties are of many types. We will also deal with other intellectual properties like trademarks. Okay, trade secrets. Trade secrets, you know, what is a trade secret? Yeah, trade secret is basically any information that a company has that the company thinks gives it a competitive advantage. So, like the Coca-Cola we drink, okay. Now you would have seen many companies come that try to make similar soft drinks, but they differ in taste slightly. Like no chips taste like Lay's. I'm not saying Lay's taste best. I'm saying no chips taste like Lay's chips. Okay, that is because of certain recipe that they keep as trade secret. Okay. Now, of course, trade secret is not protected like other rights. Trade secrets are protected until the time you are able to protect it. And for protecting trade secrets, there are no particular laws. But when an employee joins, he signs a non-disclosure agreement or confidentiality agreement. Okay. So by virtue of working in this company, you may get to know certain trade secrets, but you sign a non-disclosure agreement to not tell that to anybody else. So it is not followed really, because if you know, like Dipender Goyal, you know, Zomato, founder of Zomato. So he famously said that he was asked in the podcast that how do you hire people? Like how do people contact Zomato to be a part of them? So he said, we don't hire through drives. We poach people. So we don't hire people who are looking for jobs. Anybody who's working in an organization, we try to poach him by giving him more money. Now, why he would be doing this? Because if he hires someone from Swiggy, or now it is entering other kinds of business, let's say Instamart or let's say Zepto, though who would hire from Zepto? But anyway, if he hires from Zepto, then he would get all the information that they have. Okay, so this is not really followed, though it should be. So these are trade secrets, all these different kinds of copyrights. Copyright is very famous now because of YouTubers. Like recent, you would have heard ANI and YouTubers controversy. Heard? No. So there is an Asian news agency, ANI. Okay. So ANI, if you would have seen government videos and all, they would have written source as ANI. So ANI is basically, see, all news channels cannot have infinite reporters to be available everywhere, right? It entails cost. If some minister is going to Croatia, you can't send a whole Aajtak team to Croatia, right? It will cost a lot of money. And for what? For those 10 minutes of news that anyway people are not watching, it's just running on television. So it's not worth it. So instead, there are agencies like ANI, which goes with the government or wherever they can. They have their people who would record the video, and then they would have all those videos. To access these videos, you have to take subscription on per month or per year basis. So Aaj Tak has also subscribed to them. Z News or all kinds of news have subscribed to ANI for these videos. Now it becomes economically viable for ANI because now they have money from coming from all the news channels and all the agencies, and then they can sell them. And for that, they have all the footage. For that, they can send their cameraman and all those personals that they need. So that is how the system works. Now, what was happening? Some YouTubers, like who make these kinds of content, like Dhruv Rathi, you must have heard. Okay, so all these YouTubers were using some seconds of an ANI clip. Now it looks very intuitive to everybody because ANI clips are anywhere running on every news channel because everybody has subscribed to it. So it seems like it is of nobody's. So some people took it and they put it in their videos. Not much, like 4-5 seconds in a 20-minute video. Now ANI was putting copyright strikes on them on YouTube on all their videos and were trying to shut their YouTube channels down, or otherwise was asking for money, some form of ransom only. Okay, so that was the whole issue. You can use it somewhere. See all these examples, all these recent examples that you come across, you can remember that, and you, if you put that in your essays or ethics or anywhere, it adds a bit of points to you. Okay, so all these things which are in news, like there was some time ago there was a news on Tanishq ad. Okay, or you can use Newton movie. So all this, if you use, it just enhances your answer, which are in news. Newton movie was all about procedural democracy. Have you seen Newton? Newton is Newton is a Bollywood movie, and in which there's a guy who has to election officer who has to conduct election in interiors Naxalite belt of Chhattisgarh. Okay, so he goes there, and there are all kinds of problems that he's facing, but he fights it out and eventually gets those tribals to come and say that we want to vote, and eventually they cast their vote. And it's a very moving story about how India has progressed in procedural democracy, how India has progressed to develop the kind of democracy where every person is at least given a right to vote. And we have improved a lot in this. If you ask your parents or your grandparents, you would get to know that voting, booth capturing was very common. It was not at all this fair as we see it now. Okay, of course, most of you won't be going. How many of you voted in last elections? Okay, very good proportion still, because the people of this age are not going to vote, not going to cast their vote, and still half of class is going. It's good. So all these examples you can always use. It adds points to it. With this, we are done with the major 10 portions that we need to cover. Okay, now I can tell you how I will deal within class. So class, I'll teach you all the theory. In theory only, we'll have some questions for better understanding of concepts. You can also ask doubts in that. After that, if not in every class, in every alternate class, we will have MCQs that we will solve in class, and this will be collectively. Okay, so I'll ask how many people think A should be the answer, B should be the answer. What I expect from you is being honest about it, not looking here and there. Raise when you feel this is the answer. And please don't have that habit of people say that I would have left this question, sir. That's why I didn't attempt. Okay. Here you have to attempt all questions. Some guess you have to make, somewhere you have to raise hand. Okay. Be involved in this. You will learn. Okay. After that, within class only, we will have one or two mains questions. In some chapters, if I think there are more questions, I will dictate more questions. Some I would be telling you answers. Some I can give you as homework also. Later in the course, I will make you write only. Okay. Then only I will be telling you keywords. This would be the major things that we'll be covering in class. Other part is current affairs, that is dealt on Wednesday. You will get handout for it. This institute would give you. Apart from this, if you still need some help, you can always come to faculty. Okay. If you somehow get stuck somewhere, okay, like if you are not able to understand a particular topic in class, you can ask. I'll tell you again. If you don't get, you can ask again and tell you again. Post that, if you still don't get it, we will have to move forward because we can't be wasting time of the whole class. Now don't be too upset about it. We are working here from 10 to 4:30. You can come to the faculty room. We can tell you and everything would flow. Okay, don't take it to heart. I remember one of my students. So last December, I was taking CSAT. Okay. Now this student asked something. I answered. Then he asked again. I again answered. Then he asked the third time. I again answered. But he was still not getting it. So I said, "Ki beta, we'll talk in the faculty room and we can discuss there." Okay. We have to move forward now. Because I was also not getting that what is the problem that he's facing. Okay. Then we moved forward. For the remaining like 35-40 minutes, he was looking at me like this. Okay, like Ajay Devgan, he was looking at me constantly, not making notes, not anything. Now I got a bit awkward. I even asked him like, we will talk outside, like in eyes or by some motion or gestures. I showed him, but still he was continuing like this. Okay. Anyway, the class got over. I thought that he may be a rowdy kid or something. Those usually come one or two classes, one or two students are like that. So it's fine. Then when the class got over, I went to the faculty room. He came. Okay. Very simple guy. First of all. So my impression was not correct. Then he asked, "Sir, this. I was not getting anything, whatever in Hindi." He said, "Okay." So I asked, "What are you not getting?" Then now we are sitting. So I am telling him in a copy, telling him on a copy. Then he told me that something like, let's say A by B, C by D. This is written like this. He was not getting that B was in division. Why it got multiplied here? Okay, when it went from this side of equal to that side of equal to. Now this I can't guess. If you are not getting this, it's fine. It's fine. It can be dealt in the faculty room only. This can't be understood by a teacher because I am teaching some advanced concept of number system and I am again explaining that concept only. This is the issue, is cannot be guessed. Then he got this and then he said, "Oh, bas itna." Okay. So, but after that, and he said that the next 30 minutes, I said, "You were not writing anything." So he said, "Yeah, sir, I got very angry or whatever." And then we had to spend like 15-20 minutes, explain him everything again. From the next class, he was fine. He was a decent student then. But you get the point that don't take everything to your heart. Don't be too rigid. Okay. You're coming to class. It is like a jigsaw puzzle. Okay, so even if you don't get one part, it's not that you won't get the whole class. Okay, so don't be too rigid about it, because if you get a real doubt in first half an hour and let's say I was not able to clear it, You asked your friend, he was also not able to clear it. Okay. So after half an hour, the next 2.5 hours, you shouldn't be thinking about that only. You must move on. Okay. Because you can't ruin the whole class for yourself. Understood? So you can always come to the faculty room to ask your further doubts. That's it. I think most of it we have covered, and hopefully, I hope, like, you people keep coming to offline classes. Okay. Slowly what happens, students start attending online courses to save time. Okay. But it has not worked for most people, because what happens in an online class, there is no foundation. Okay. So you can just close this and I'm not there. You open this, I'm there. Okay. So it becomes that easy. That's why people, what they do, 3 hour lecture if they have, they attend it in parts. After 1 hour, they're like, my mind is not working. So right now I must leave. Make up their mind also. Though sitting for 3 hours and attending a class is not that tough. Okay. If you are finding it that tough, then you have to write 2-3 hours papers every day in mains. Okay. For 3 days. So it's not that tough. Not even 3 days, optional also. Okay. So it's not that tough. You can concentrate. Please come to classes. That's why, so that you make proper notes. Also, because everything you are anyway consuming digitally, newspaper you read digitally, video call digitally, that also, that all these entertainment digitally. So it just clutters your mind. Attending classes is always good physically. Of course, if you have a job or online students that are attending, that can't attend any other way, for them it's okay. But if it is possible, please attend classes here. Okay. That's it. Thank you. We will start from the main topics from next lecture. Okay. Thank you.